change of equipment here, Coach.
Well, this will be an exciting tournament. As I said last night, there are no weak teams. There's nothing but teams picked to win their conferences or on top of the leaderboard, so to speak. So it should be very exciting for all the teams involved, obviously, in a beautiful place. And we're really looking forward to it, getting a break around Thanksgiving time and playing the most competitive basketball, I think, in the nation.
What's the lowdown on Northern Iowa? You hit on it a little bit last night. Their experience, right?
They shoot it well. They pass it well. They run a lot of good offensive sets. Very sound, well-coached basketball team. Obviously, from the 3 games, you see the percentage. You know, sometimes when you look at statistics this time of the year, you can't really gauge whether they're true or not. But they do shoot the ball really well, pass the ball really well, and they run outstanding sets.
People often look at these trips and they say business trip, but you having a veteran team, do you not worry about the distractions of being in paradise, so to speak?
No, I think everybody's going to look at it the same way. It is a business trip for everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a rookie team, veteran team. You know, people aren't going to be, you know, going in the Shark Tank and you know, going parasailing. Everybody's going to be just playing basketball. The fans will have a good time. The players and the coaches will concentrate on their jobs.
Talked a lot over the last couple of weeks, Rick, about fundamentals and rebounding. Where can you assess where those 2 areas
Well,
are?
we've improved. We put great emphasis on rebounding. It's been the #1 point of emphasis we've made in the last 10 days, and we have improved remarkably.
For a long time, the Maui Invitational seemed like it was the premier kind of tournament like this. Could this tournament be every bit as good?
Well, as far as the field is concerned, it's probably the best field that you can find. This is probably the East Coast version of Maui, with the exception that there is no home Chaminade there. Okay, so it's for us, it's 2 hours on a plane. You know, to go to Hawaii, it's 10 to 11. And, you're hurt when you return coming from Maui. With this, you're not. So probably Maui's for the West Coast now, and the Bahamas is for the East Coast, even though Stanford is in it.
In a way, you mentioned the travel is easier and the getting back is easier, and it seems like it'd be easier for fans as well, right? Just hop on
Yeah,
plane.
except like Maui, there's only so many tickets and there's only so many hotel rooms.
You mentioned it as being a business trip. Is there any advantage at all to having been there with a lot of these guys? They've already done that kind of stuff, so those won't be a distraction for them or anything.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a pro or a con. You know, we went there just to bond, have a great time. We did things that we would never do on an official trip.
You mentioned last night that, you know, it is silly to kind of gauge any tournament like this and say somebody's great or not good or whatever, but is there something to be said about using this as a barometer just to kind of see where your team is at this point?
I'm sure it is, CL, but I don't think it matters. Like last year, it was Harvard at Central Florida in the final game, and I really don't think it matters this time of year. You know, it's everybody's going to grow and get better, and it's really it's a barometer for where you are in November, but it's not a barometer for where you'll be in March.
You mentioned growing and getting better. When you guys, you know, fly back here after this tournament's done, what do you hope to maybe learn from your team, or kind of maybe find out about your guys?
You know, I think one of the exciting things about coaching, and coaching this team in particular, is the fact that we just concentrate on the present. I just think it's amazing today, just the change in all of you, parents, players, coaches, all of us alike. We're always so consumed about the future that we just never enjoy where we are now. And all I want to find out is, are we capable of beating Northern Iowa? We just, nobody in the coaching world, you just don't ever look ahead to anything. And in your world, you're always looking ahead. You know, it's your job to look ahead and to project. I mean, you got, what's his name, Joe Lenardi, you know, comes out with his bracket before games even played. You know, and that's the fun part about the whole thing and this fantasy stuff and everything else. But that's fantasy. In reality, in the real world, we're just totally focused in on this team. You know, so I don't know what we hope to get out of it. I don't know where we'll be, if we'll win the whole thing, if not, I don't know. Yeah, I know this. You could be a very good basketball team and lose 3 games.
You've had 24 hours to kind of look at things. I mean, if you can pick out any small steps that you've made over these first 3 games, what are they?
I think rebounding. I think that was a major weakness. As I told you at the beginning of the year, I didn't think shooting was a strength or a weakness. I think it was. It is what it is. There'll be nights like last night where we make a lot of shots, but we have to rebound and play defense every night out. If we do that, like last year, we should make a good run come tournament time.
I don't
Risk
see.
of looking ahead, what do you think the Big Ten expansion means for Louisville?
You know, I really don't know. I'd be guessing. You know, you all heard the commissioner say just in the Big East Media Day that in his research all around, expansion was over. Do you remember him saying that? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, it's not over. So I don't know what to make of it. You know, not too many things catch me by surprise in this day and age, but that caught me off guard. Quite frankly, it's something that you didn't expect, that the Maryland would lead potentially the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Do you see the Big East remaining viable?
I don't know. You know, I don't think we have much of a choice, so it better be viable. You know, it's really for a question for Tom George to answer, but some of us don't have choices. And somewhere along the line, you know, all those Catholic schools may just get tired of all this nonsense and say, listen, we've had enough of you football schools. We're just going to break up and we're going to form our own great basketball league. And, you know, that's the danger of it all. You know, that the Catholic schools don't get totally fed up with all this and just say, you know what, we've got a great basketball league. Let's just have a great basketball league. You football people want to do what you want, go ahead and do it. And, you know, that's the danger. Now, you know, when a school like Maryland can pay a $50 million exit fee and still say that's not really much because in 5 years we'll pay it off, and it comes Under Armour, and it's really not that much money. So when you're talking about $50 million, it's really no big deal. We'll just move on. We'll make it up in 5 to 7 years. Life has changed in a hurry for all of us. So it's an amazing world. I think the thing that for us at the University of Louisville, and I'm going to separate myself because I've been around a lot of different places and experienced a lot of things at my age. I haven't come across a school like this in a long time that has so much to offer and such little interest by people. You know, when I hear this, I think this school, now, and I want to preface this by saying this, I want to stay, myself and I want to coach in the Big East forever. That's me. I don't want to coach any place other than the Big East. To me, that's the most enjoyable thing for my agenda. But it's not, we obviously know this is not about me, it's about football and money. That being said, the University of Louisville the SEC should be after them. The ACC should be after them. The Big Ten should be after them. The Big East. It's such, I think it's such a hidden jewel that people don't realize that we probably have top to bottom the best overall facilities in college athletics. Now, when I mention that to people, they turn around and say, no, it's all about TV. Yeah, but you see, everybody tunes into sports here. If you turn on TVs in New York, they may not tune into you because you have the Jets, you have the Giants, you have all the other sports, you have so many other things to do. Not that we have nothing to do here, but it is all about football and basketball. It's what we're all about here. So to me, this is the greatest jewel in college athletics, I've always felt, because of the progression of what I've seen when I first came here to now. From the SATs going from ACTs going from 19 and change to 24 and a half as an average. The academic prowess has been off the charts, the facilities off the charts, the amount of money that we generate for basketball and football, incredible. Yeah, everybody knows we have one of the brightest ADs in the game. So I sit back right now, and I'm just saying that as a bystander who has a stake in this. I can't believe that Now, I think what we need to do is take the bull by the horns and say, look, if we're the Big East, let's go. We're the Big East, let's stop this thing, stop it. Because it is getting a little ridiculous now. The whole thing's getting a little absurd. Exit fees are meaningless. The amounts of money are meaningless. I think we got to figure out who wants in, who wants out. It's either get your divorce papers ready, or let's make this marriage work. And somewhere along the line, the Big East has got to take the bull by the horns and say, look, this is what we're going to do. You don't want us, good. We're going to form something big. And my greatest fear, and I've said it all along, and I'm surprised it didn't happen 3 years ago by the likes of Georgetown, that didn't say, the hell with all of you. We're forming our basketball league. This is nonsense. And we're very lucky that they didn't do that. I would have done it years ago.
You made mention that you want to keep basketball strong and viable. There's been some mention today about Louisville maybe possibly going to the ACC. I mean, that would put Syracuse.
According to who? According to what report?
Several people, I mean,
Are you talking a call-in show to some
No,
ridiculous thing?
it's not calling shows.
Well, give me a legitimate source that you're saying.
CBS Sports.
Yeah,
Jeremy
CBS
Gallo.
Sports and the
You're
SBA
saying that the
guys
ACC
mentioned it.
is interested in us.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Some
I
guys.
don't, like I said, I want to be in the Big East forever. If I'm the Atlantic Coast Conference, I'd want Louisville the first school I would even think about. I'm going to be long gone when the ACC is flourishing as one of the premier conferences. So I'm not saying it because of a personal agenda. This place is the most dynamite place I've seen in a long time. And in top to bottom, what we've done academically in improving it, athletically in every stage. If I was the ACC, I'd jump at Louisville. And someday I hope I'm a bystander and I see that. If I'm the Big East, I do everything humanly possible to keep Louisville. It's a great situation. And so is Cincinnati down the road. Cincinnati has a great program as well. And, it's just, I think a lot of people, I think the Big 12 really missed the boat in what happened. Really missed the boat. This place in football has it has the most potential I've seen for upside of any program in the country in football. Now in basketball, we're sort of maxed out financially. We made $44 million last year, with more than the Packers. I'm not sure how much more money we can gouge you writers to sit in your seat. I mean, that's the last stand. Now we're talking about charging writers now. That's a little ridiculous. I said, not as long as I'm the coach. I told Kenny that last night.
Why do you said so little interest? What's your?
I don't know. I can't figure it out. Look, I can figure it out from a TV market standpoint, but you got to understand, every TV will be on. It's a little different. So it's. I understand that there's certain areas, but it's not only Louisville attracts a lot of attention. It really does, and it's big time in football. We can line up. Look, next year, when these freshmen and sophomores become juniors, we can line up against anybody in the country and play them toe to toe. And it just took Charlie a little bit, 2 or 3 recruiting classes, and we're right there. And we got next year's Heisman Trophy winner.
From the history perspective, when you look at the Big East, it's kind of disappointing. Not just the Big East, the landscape in itself, that it's come down to exit fees and dollars in football.
Well, exit fees are meaningless. They can make it up in 5 years, or now you get Under Armour to supplement, because I know Kevin very well. He's an awesome guy, and he loves Maryland. So it's exit fees don't mean anything. But I think we got to get to the point now that we're all in. Let's go, guys. We're in this together, and yeah, we're all in. Then they go in the back room and they call, "Are you interested in me? We're ready to go." It's an interesting game they play. You wouldn't want to sit around at a board meeting with those characters.
You talk about your team. You talk about your team like they're all throwbacks, like they don't worry about that stuff. And here, everyone else is focused on these things outside of sports. Is that, in addition, another reason why this team has kind of allowed you to just kind of get soaked up in basketball?
As far as Charlie's concerned in football, or the soccer coach, or the women's golf team's getting ready, or the baseball team or us, we're totally concentrating. But obviously, we're not oblivious to it. I personally, just being in this business for 35 years, just don't get it. I don't get the myths of Louisville with nobody talking about Louisville. And this is not a basketball thing I'm talking about. I don't understand this whole scenario. Now, again, personally, if you said to me, you have a choice, you can pick any conference in the world to play in basketball-wise, I want the Big East. I like the cities we travel to, I like the areas we recruit to. In basketball, for me, it's all in Big East. I just wish everybody else would just be all in, but I'm telling you, it's gonna come, unless people should start developing a plan of attack, these Catholic schools are gonna say, I've had enough, because nobody has more money than the Vatican.
As familiar as you are with Connecticut from wherever the Yankee conference or years ago, I mean, to think that Louisville and Connecticut would be, you know, on it, I mean, does that even seem crazy that those two athletic programs, the ACC was looking at one of those two schools that they wouldn't take?
You know, I don't know who's looking, who's not looking. You know, it's, I think the ACC got tipped off apparently when the ACC voted about a $50 million exit fee, and the only one that voted against it was Maryland. I think that was a pretty good tip. That, you know, you're getting ready to serve your divorce papers, but, you know, I'm not sure what the landscape's going to, it always changes, you know. Is the Big 12 done? You know, it's 11 teams, it doesn't make sense. Are they done? They say they're done. Will they be done at the end of the year? Nobody knows. I just wish we had a little settlement here, you know. I think I'd like to be settled. I'd like the NBA talk to stop. You know, I'd like to just be settled.
Speaking of other sports, though, do you have Derby fever yet? After winning the Delta jackpot, what do you think about that?
I thought it was awesome, thought it was great, but I really don't. I really don't think too much about horse racing, except I enjoyed that 2 minutes. That's a hobby and a good night out. This is my life.
Rick,
How would you, but I mean, if you got to the I mean, you've done it before, but I mean,
It would just be, you know, here's what I do. Here's how much talent I have in this horse racing industry. I write a check. Here, Russ. Okay, that's the extent of my ability in the horse racing. I'm not a trainer, I'm not a jockey, and I'm not a horse. I love the game of basketball. I certainly enjoy a night out at the races, and I would love to see to have a good day. I'm going to have a great day at the Derby, whether the horse is in it or not, I can assure you that.
you said you wanted to stay in the Big East, that would be your...
Me personally.
Yeah, I know, but it's not your Big East anymore. It's not the Big East you grew up with, not the, well, you've coached in for so many years.
Yeah, it is going to change, but I still love Georgetown, St. John's, Cincinnati, Marquette, you know, Villanova. I still love those teams and those schools, Providence. It has changed. You know, it's going to be different without Syracuse, different without Pittsburgh. And now, if you know, I don't think Rutgers in basketball.
Possibly Connecticut, though, if they...
Yeah, if they go, then basically you have a new league. You know, you have a new league and a different league. But that doesn't mean it still can't be good. You know, I think a league in football with Boise and SMU and some of these schools, and it's just going to be different. But then what's going to happen? Is somebody else going to leave? And, you know, it's just for us, it's not fun, right? It's not a fun experience right now for something so grand as the University of Louisville. And I say that now as a person who grew up in New York, who worked at other places. This place is just such a dynamite place. I wish we would just get settled. We're all in Big East or something. It's just every day, every week I wake up, I hear conference expansion's over, and then it starts up again.
Anything else about our team?
Has he been focused like you like?
I think Shane's making great strides. You know, the good thing about our basketball team, with the exception of Gorky, when we go to practice, Gorky is the only difference maker. Like Russ is on the same team right now, but if Russ was on the other unit, every position, there are no starters, you know, just on a given night. So it's very competitive. You put Montrez in the game for Shane, you don't lose anything. You put Russ in the game for Peyton, you don't lose anything. You put Kevin in the game for Russ, you don't lose anything. So right now we're at a good point.
are you worried about Luke's confidence at all?
I think it'll once he gets away from the KFC, I think it'll improve. He needs the road desperately right now. Just needs a different environment, you know, because a funny line that Kareem, I didn't want to say it.
But is he good that there's no talk radio, there's no papers, you know what I mean? Like he
Well, I don't think Luke listens to talk radio or reads newspapers. I mean, remember, they're college kids. You all didn't read newspapers in college and listen to talk radio, at least I hope not. So I don't think that, but he gets it from his student body. Come on, Luke, even encourage him. Come on, Luke, it's gonna fall, and wherever we go, Luke, they're gonna fall next time. And I tried to tell him the other night, I said, Luke, we opened up last year 12-0. I didn't think we were any big deal except playing at home. I said, at the end of the year, we lost 4 out of 6, and everybody said we were no good. We swept the Big East. I said, you're gonna get hot, and that doesn't mean you're gonna stay hot forever. I said, it's not a big deal, Luke. It's just, you could see it on his face, because the game before, Wayne Blackshear was 1 for 8. It didn't seem to bother him when he stepped up in this game. So it's bothering him. You can see it on his face. And the fans now have gone from, being negative to trying to encourage him, trying to cheer any little thing. So I think the best thing to do is just get away from this place, make a few shots, and you'll be fine.
Did you see any of the high school Wayne Blackshear last game, any of the stuff that you were kind of looking for?
Well, his high school coach came in to watch him, and then watch him in individual instruction this morning, and he just said the same thing that we've been saying. He said he doesn't have his explosiveness to the rim. He shot the ball real well last night. He said his body looks much better than when he was in high school. But it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time. But I definitely see this type of ascension, which is good. And he'll get it. He'll come on. I think by the time what you saw, unfortunately, is the dunk in the Kentucky game, or the 13 points against West Virginia. But if you really break down what he did in those games, you wouldn't be all that impressed.
When you look at Kevin Ware, we saw flashes of athleticism even last year when he didn't know the offense.
Right.
How good can he be?
I don't know. If he ever gets Russ's not passion, if he gets Russ's intensity out on the court, both offensively and defensively, his wingspan, his ability could be awesome. His personality is very introverted, and he plays that way, although he'll give you the spectacular play once in a while. If he ever was an extrovert on the basketball court, look out. And I've seen a lot of players that don't become extroverts, and they never reach their potential, so I'm hoping he will.
What did you do with his shot? Because I don't think he took an outside shot, maybe one last year. Now he looks pretty comfortable out there.
What he did was, in all these shooters, from Wayne to Russ to Kevin to Peyton, now Peyton's improved the most, this is your elbow, okay? And what happens with them, the ball's here. So before they even get their release, the ball starts to come down, the ball starts to get down, they're throwing a dot at the dartboard, and there's no arc. By lifting the elbow and bringing the ball out, that's where the arc is created. Well, all those guys, their shoulder was even with their elbow, and the ball was going down rather than going up. So we've, as I told you before, we put on a split screen Ray Allen, who has the perfect form of a jump shot, and we showed them how the ball was here and Ray's is up here. So they kept looking at him, we refilmed it, and Peyton's gotten a lot better, considerably better. And then there's the other extreme where Shane brings it like this, and now it's a whip motion. So they're all working on it. We are shooting very well in practice. We shot very well last night, and I thought Wayne's shot looked terrific last night. Even the one he missed was in and out. So they're all improving. They're all working at it. But they know, as a coach, I don't pay too much attention to it. I do it in individual instruction, but when we practice, we don't ever talk about the shot going in and out. We just talk about defense.
Is Russ, is it safe to say after 3 games that he's been shooting 48% right now from three-point range, that's who he is now when he's taking good shots? Or, is there still something to be said about
Like I said, CL, I don't think after 3 games you can judge statistics. I think after 10 games, statistics start to become, especially when you get into conference play, but I think you can see that yesterday he didn't have a rebound, he didn't have an assist, he did not have a steal. And if I didn't get him out of the game, he would have broken the Guinness Book of World Records for the most shots in the span of 30 seconds. So he's capable of doing other things, but he's playing awfully well right now, awfully well. Taking good shots. He's a very, very confident young man. I don't know where we'd be last year or this year without that young man. I really don't. And you know what? He's a lot of fun to coach. He really is a lot of fun. He brings, sometimes he can be very frustrating, but other times he's just You know, like I took him out yesterday and said, you know, and I said, good job, son. He said, what do you think of me now? I said, go sit down. And he says, he makes you laugh when you're not trying to laugh. You know, he brings that, he's a funny kid.
Do you remember the first time he kind of surprised you like that, said something that you weren't expecting?
You know, he was at my basketball camp, and when he was really young, and I knew his dad real well. I knew his dad when he was Russ's age, and Russ was just a good little kid, and all of a sudden he grew up in front of my eyes, and suddenly he was, I remember him lying to me about recruiting. I was at South Kent looking at J.J. Moore with Ralph Willett, and I said, Russ, who's recruiting you? And he said, SMU, Baylor, Arkansas. I said, any Big East schools? Yeah, a lot of them. I said, Russ, okay, now give me the truth. Who's recruiting you? I just thought, no, Russ, they're not recruiting you. Who's recruiting you? Well, I think SMU is looking at me, Coach. I don't know who else. You know, so you gotta, Russ lives in a few different worlds. It was kind of funny. And I said, well, we're gonna start to recruit you. How do you feel about that? Cool, yeah, that's good. When can I visit? You know, and it was right away, and then we knew we were gonna offer him a scholarship at that point.
Anything else, Coach?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Coach, he just asked